All right, hello, and welcome back to another edition of DCW. Today is August 6th as I'm recording this. It's Wednesday. We've come off a great Summerslam weekend. I hope everybody had a great Summerslam weekend. I know I did. Was a little worried personally about the whole two-night PLE thing, but they pulled it off well. I was a little worried about getting burnt out. I think I've seen that we're going to go to more two-night PLEs. I'm still a little worried about that. I think the WWE puts out a ton of content, and it is very easy, I think, to burn people out on it eventually. Not that we don't all love wrestling, but it's hard to consume all of it. I was a little worried that with this two-night PLE, we might be getting just too much to handle coming off of, really, we're only a couple months out of WrestleMania, and we're getting so many PLEs every month, or, just larger events like your Saturday night main event, where it could really start to wear, I think, on people, but we're not there yet. I think they paced it well this weekend. Traditionally, we would have had a 7-hour straight pay-per-view to cover this much, and I'm glad that we didn't. I will say I'm glad that we didn't. But yeah, let's start with SummerSlam and kind of run right straight through it. Start with Saturday. I'm going to skip Roman and Jay for now because that's going to tie back in. I'm going to leave all the main event stuff for the end. Let's start with Charlotte and Alexa. Just want to say I was right here. Charlotte and Alexa do get the win despite some miscommunication there towards the end of the match. I'm really happy to see this go forward. Keep the two of them together. I do think that this needs to end with Alexa turning on Charlotte at some point. I think we've got a month or two, maybe longer, before we get there. Those two also come out on Raw on Monday night, and they're out there having fun. Charlotte talking about how many times she's a champion. Alexa, how often have you been a champion? We're never losing these titles, right? To which Roxanne and Raquel come out and challenge for another shot at the titles. And we double down on it. Charlotte and Alexa get the win again. And look even better, I think, on Monday night as a team. The chemistry really coming together and showing through there. Really interested to see where these two go forward. Again, I think Alexa needs to be the one to turn in the end because obviously they're a tag team. That's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to have to turn on someone eventually. But I think it should be Alexa. I want to see Charlotte stay babyface after this and see what she can actually do. We don't really get that. We haven't really gotten that, and I'd like to see it. So next off, we get to Sammy and Karrion. Sammy and Karrion Kross. And, I really hope that Kross is sticking around. I am very worried at this point with Kross taking the loss. Sammy didn't really bite on the steel pipe. He said on Monday that, he wanted to, but it's not him. And Kross wasn't there on Monday night. No, I know there's been clips of people chanting, "We want Kross," especially in that post-show, non-press conference deal. The "We want Kross" chants were there. People thought it was maybe "We want Brock," but it does turn out to be "We want Kross." And I just don't know. We have their deals coming up supposedly this weekend. I don't know that I buy that that's going to happen. I really don't know either way, because if we're not letting Kross go, where do we go from here? Are we scrapping what we just did? Because I don't see how you didn't just handicap the Cross character by having him in his first real TV feud in this new iteration of him. I mean, he's had like behind the scenes segments and he's influenced like AJ's match prior, but he hadn't really been front and center. And now that we've gotten it, he turns around and loses. I don't see how you haven't handicapped that iteration of him. Because Sammy proved him wrong, at least for the time being, unless this is going to be stretched out much longer. And I don't know that we're there. I'm worried. I do like what, if anybody's seen Busted Open, what Bubba's saying. Maybe we, really lean into the groundswell and get him around, have him just show up to Raw. He's not part of the show, but he's out front, and get people to rally behind him that way. And I could see that, and maybe that's what something like the area we're heading towards. Because like I said, this iteration of Cross is a little handicapped. Maybe we get behind the crowd swell, the swell behind him and turn him more face. I don't know that I love that for him, in that the crowd loves Cross, but I think the crowd yearns for an evil carrying Cross. I don't know that turning him face will benefit him in the long run. I don't know that's what the people want. And maybe we don't care. Maybe we turn Cross face and see what he can do. I think he could do okay. I think he'd do great, actually. I shouldn't say that. But I don't think it's what we wanted. I think the people wanted more Cross because we were interested in what he was doing. And it seems to be that what he was doing has been shot in the knees right out the gate. So we'll see. I think we'll find out more over the coming few days if they do actually get released this weekend. And maybe they're planning on release them and then everybody, see what the reaction is. And if they really care that much, then we'll bring them back in. Or maybe they just do it for a publicity stunt. Everything's a work nowadays. Everything's a work. Everybody's getting worked all the time. You saw what happened with Seth, the Lion Bastard. It's all work all the time. So who knows? Who knows if the contract status is real? Maybe they actually have new deals and are just keep leaking that they don't. We'll find out. I hope very soon, and I hope to see more Cross. I'm still one that is behind him and would like to see him more. But moving on, we got Jade and Tiffy on Saturday night. That was a fun match. I thought Tiffy should win here. I think it's still a little too soon for Jade. She's great. She's got it all. I do think she needs just a little bit more time for her character to come back around. I think if she got it now, it would have been too soon, and it would have needed to be a short run, which could have worked. I think we could have done that, and that would have been okay. But I like her almost getting to the top and not quite getting there better. Because now we can run her back to the end of the line, and we can ditch all the the Bianca stuff. Maybe we can revisit it, but we can ignore the tag team sort of success for now. I mean, go as a single star. I'm now going to build back up from the ground. I'm going to show you guys why I am the one to run this division, because I think she is, and I think that's where we're heading. Maybe a Royal Rumble winner. Maybe not. We'll see how the next few months play out. I think that. But if I had to make a pick right now, her or Stephanie Becker are my picks for the Royal Rumble. Obviously it's 5 months off, so subject to change in 5 minutes even. But I think those would be my picks right now. We also had Paul and Drew versus Randy and Jelly Roll. Now, you know, kudos to Jelly Roll. That was a fun match. He was in there a lot more than I thought he would be. The reports were true. He's been really hitting it in the Performance Center. I think that's awesome. Love to see celebrities come in and give a shit and care about the industry and really, really go full into it. I listened to his podcast with Cody Rhodes today, and it really does seem like he loves it, man. He loves the business, and he wanted to pay it the respect it was owed. And I think everybody appreciates that. I think everybody at home watching could tell that and really appreciated it. He took some sick bumps. That frog splash on the table was insane. Looked like it hurt like hell. Excuse me. It was great. I was surprised that Jelly took the pin. I guess it really makes sense in the grand scheme of things. It makes sense. He's the only guy there that probably should take the pin. But historically, when WWE works with celebrities, we know that's not how it goes. So it was cool to see him take the pin, and I think he did mention on Cody's podcast today that he proposed that he wanted to take the pin, because celebrities don't do that. And it was a nice change of pace, and not only do celebrities not normally do that, now he can show back up at any time, and it makes sense. And you know what? I like it. I could see him again. I think, especially if he wants to keep training, I think you could get some more length out of that, and it'd be good. And not feel cheap, not feel like a cheap way to get more viewers. I think that's a good way to get. He's shown a good way to get people in, without just the cheap plugs. So I would like to see it. And hopefully we do in the future. It might be a year or so, but maybe we see him again. And again, I'm going to skip the main event stuff for now. Let's move on to Sunday, and then we'll come back to Gunther, Punk, Seth, and the like. Sunday we start with Naomi, Io, and Rhea. Naomi retains. I do want to point out here, man, these women's matches lately are killing it. I think we've been heading for that for a while, where we would see, a lot of these women's matches are great. But now it seems like every big women's match delivers on every aspect. I think we've been heading there for a while, but it's really coming to fruition now that, like, they get it, and it's great. The athleticism is there. The stories are built out. I think that's what we've started to really, That's what we have been really struggling with, and I think we've started to come over that hill a bit, where we've had the time to lay some groundwork, and we're really starting to pay off more. That just wasn't getting paid off before, or not that wasn't getting paid off, but the groundwork wasn't there. We were just having matches to have matches, and all the feuds were around titles. Now, of course, this is a title feud, but I think introducing the mid-tier titles, and we've started to incorporate some more storylines there. I think the U.S. title has a little work to be done there, but overall, all these women's matches are great, and this one was obviously no exception. Kind of went as I expected based on what I said last week. Rhea and Io a little too focused on each other. Rhea really wants that win over Io, and I get it. Of course, you want that as a competitor. You want that victory, but in the end, it ends up, I think, costing her. And we get Naomi walking away with the title. I think that's a good move. I think Naomi's going to get a decent little run here. This Proceed with Caution gimmick is good. She's doing well. I don't think if Io gets the match she requested, I don't think Io takes it from her. I think we're not yet, at least. I think there will be Io's time to take it, and I think we do get Io versus Rhea at WrestleMania. Maybe Rhea takes it and has to defend against Io, but I think the money is Io has the title. before next WrestleMania and Rhea versus Io for that title. Whether that's through Chamber or Rumble, probably Chamber. As like I said, I think Jade's my pick for the Rumble next year, but I think that could very easily be where we're heading. Is Io versus Rhea at Mania. I think that's a worthy match, and I think we're starting early enough that it could have all the time in the world. You touch on it here and there, and you sort of come and go from it, but in the end, that's where we end up. Yeah, great match. The tag team ladder match, absolute insane watch. Candice's bump from the top of that ladder. I thought she broke her arm. There's no way she didn't break her arm. The ladder sheared clear in half. I thought there was no way she didn't land and break her arm. But apparently she's okay. Johnny said he didn't have to sleep on the couch for that one, but there was no couch in that hotel room, so who knows? Maybe he slept on the floor. But awesome match. I love to see that we're leaning in on the Wyatt Six a little more, letting them get the victory and keep those titles a little longer. I would like to see a little more promo work from them again. I know it seems like we're kind of leaning away from some of the spooky stuff with them, which I don't hate. I think that's fine. I think they were trying to strike the balance of spooky and real. And just with some of the time off, it's been a struggle. I think we need to start leaning back on it again. And I do want to see where this tag team division goes from here. Because it's been a lot of, we just fight each other. We're really focused on these titles. And I'm not saying you can't be focused on the titles going forward, but I think we need to have some more clear setups here. Some more clear direction in the division. It's been fun, but it's started to feel a little samey. And maybe this is where we sort of combine some more promo work with the Wyatts and give the division a little more direction again, making them sort of the boogeyman, the tyrant of the division that all these teams are going after. I just don't think they have right now. Also interested to see how long they keep Andrade and Rey Fenix together, because I thought by now we would have gotten a Lucha Brothers reunion if we were going to send one of them into a tag team, but I don't hate what they're doing. But moving on from that, we have Becky and Lyra. So I was close on this one. Bayley does not turn heel right now, but she does cost Lyra the match. Aiming for Becky with that steel chain on her hand. Takes out Lyra in the process. So Lyra is now out of that division, or out of that Intercontinental title picture, as long as Becky keeps that belt. Now, with that being said, clearly we're going to pivot to Lyra versus Bayley. I still stand that Bayley's going to end up heel at the end of this. I think Lyra is on fire right now, and the fans are just behind her too much. I think if we're going to do Lyra versus Bayley, this is going to end in a Bayley heel turn. And maybe we do it off the back of she feels like her friends are still betraying her all the time. You know, she's just off the back of Damage Control a year ago. She never really got her footing back from that turn. I think at least. And then she turns around and you know, Becky takes her out to get the shot at the tag titles. And then Lyra never really helps her out either. So we end up back around. She's now had every friend in her last, 18 months or so, turn her back on her. They turn their backs on her. None of them have cared. And she's been the worst in every scenario except for the one win at Mania, which again, short-lived. She turned around and ended up lower than she started. So I think that's how you turn her heel. You just let her lose it. See, I'm done. I've tried to help all these people, and it hasn't worked. All my friends have turned their back on me. I keep getting the short end of the stick, so to hell with you all. And I think you have her win that feud. I think you have Bayley turn heel and let her beat Lyra. I think Lyra has done enough in the last few months and has the wins over Bayley that I think coming out the other side of a second feud here, you let Bayley take the win. But moving on, we have Solo versus Jacob on Sunday night. Couple of things here. One, why did... So Solo and Jacob are in the cage. Solo gets hit with not one, but two moonsaults. It's Fatu's version of the greatest moonsault ever, which has been his finisher up to this point. Solo takes two and kicks out. And I believe Michael Cole said this. Nobody's ever kicked out of one. Or nobody's kicked out of the moonsault before. So I'm assuming we're talking one. Why did we give that record up in this match? That doesn't make sense to me. That felt like an oversight. Because Jacob has looked so strong that giving this record up just undercuts him for no reason. Because he still lost the match too, which I was not shocked that happened. Of course, the MFTs were going to come out. They have too much on the numbers game, but yeah, and with Tala Tonga being 7 foot, so he's getting in that cage somehow. They're still trying to make him a monster too, so he's going to have to get in or stop it in some way. I'm not shocked that they got involved and cost Jacob the match still, but if we're going to do that, why are we giving up the move? That just felt odd to me. Maybe a little nitpicky, but it was, I think, a misstep. But yeah, like I said, we get the MFTs involved. Jacob ends up handcuffed to the top of the cage, which was cool. He shreds those again, but this is back to what I'm saying. We're giving Jacob these handcuffs, or he's getting handcuffed, and then turns around, shreds the handcuffs, but the moonsault wasn't enough to win. So is he a monster or not? We're sending mixed signals, and that was a poor decision. But Solo takes the win. We have a long sequence there at the end of Solo trying to drag himself out of the cage, and he just can't get there. That man's facial expressions are hilarious. Solo is also running all gas, no brakes, doing great stuff. He takes the win, falls out of the cage finally. And we get to this, and I'm asking myself, who is helping Jimmy and Jacob? Because they need help, obviously. We're the numbers game is just too much, and we're reaching the point where it's played out a little, 2 on 4 is not going to make it. And I'm wondering, is Tama Tonga coming back? We've got Tonga Loa, we've got Tala Tonga. Is Tama Tonga coming back? And is he going to be cool with Solo still at this point? Or are we going to get Jay involved? With the end of Raw Monday night, Jay didn't come out to help Roman at the end. We saw no Jay Uso. So that leads me to believe he may not have been there. Maybe we're moving for Jay to come back and help Big Jim and Jacob out. I don't know that I'm fully sold on that idea yet. I think Jay's been doing such good work as a single star and is so over. I don't know that you pull him back into that, but if not him, who? Did we bring in Zilla Fatu? I don't know that we do. Especially because he hasn't had an NXT run or anything, and I think he's younger, so I would be surprised if the company wanted to bring him in and send him straight up. So looking around at the roster, it's Jay and Tama Tonga, which I don't know what his timeline is to come back, but I don't know that you send him with Big Jim and Jacob. But they're still down one in that case. So I don't know. I think that we're coming up on having to apply some pressure there soon. And because we're not seemingly close to the end of this feud. Solo wins the match, but Jacob ends up doing the moonsault on the two of them in the cage after they get locked in the cage onto JC and Tongaloa. He still ends up standing tall, and I don't think we're giving up on that U.S. title anytime soon. So I think we're gonna have to start recruiting the big guns, and I'm interested to see where that goes or who they bring in, because I haven't seen it yet. I'm not seeing it in my mind's eye either. So, following on, we got Dom versus AJ for that Intercontinental title. And I think it was a great match, which was expected. I was not expecting all the tributes to Eddie between AJ coming out with the lowrider and AJ's gear, Dom's gear, going back to his dad's as well. Anniversary of the custody of Dom match from 20 years ago. The double chair spot, the loose boot, which ends up winning Dom the match. Thought it was all across the board great, fun match, and it looks like this isn't over based on what we see on Monday night. AJ is still coming after Dom for that IC title, and that leads me to believe he is going to get that at some point. I think AJ does get a run with that IC title at some point. I don't know that it's before the rest of the Judgment Day gets some titles back, though. I know JD and Finn have theirs. My guess is, depending on how long that Charlotte and Alexa team is going to last, Roxanne and Raquel may end up with those titles again, or Liv's going to come back. Because I think there's going to have to be some movement in the Judgment Day before Dom loses that title. And whether that's from Liv return, or the girls get their titles back, and then Dom can drop his. But I think there's a certain level of gold in the Judgment Day that has to be held until Liv gets back. I don't know that we're ready for Liv to come back yet. I think she's still got some time on that injury. So, with that, we can move on to the main events. And I think I'm going to start with Cena versus Cody first because Seth and Punk have so much more going on. Cena versus Cody, we get the full John Cena entrance. We get the color back. We get the Titantron back. We get the run with Stu. He's back, full babyface. And before we get too deep, let's touch on that babyface turn. So he comes out on Friday and he cuts the promo to turn babyface. He's recognized his wrongs. He's realized what he's done, and that he's followed somebody's idea of great TV to make it happen. Sort of alluding to The Rock, I think. No guarantees, but I think alluding to The Rock there. And people are upset, not upset maybe, but a lot of people are saying that the face turn was too fast. That the one promo was not enough. And I agree that it was done abruptly. However, I do push back on the idea that it was too fast. Because everything counts. All of John Cena's work up to this point, even prior to this year's run, I think is what makes the one night face turn possible. And I think a way that was totally believable and not an issue. Because, especially even during this run, he's been being cheered for the last few months. He's been a heel, but he's still getting cheered every night, right? It was a split room at best when he first turned. And ever since then, he just keeps getting cheered more and more. And when you pair that with his unwavering status, the previous 15 years that he was active, he's taken a few years off, maybe not 15, whatever, however, over a decade plus of hustle, loyalty, respect. I am doing this the right way, no matter what. I think that has enough equity built into it that he could have come out at any time during this heel run and said, "You're right. You guys are right. I've been forcing this," and it could have been for any reason. I mean, I think using the good TV scapegoat is just fine, but I think he could have come out at any point and said, "I was scared that in my final run I couldn't do what I used to do. And so I turned, and I was in that fear after being away for so long. But you guys have stayed strong and let me know what I really am. And that belief in me has shown me that." I think he could have come out at any time in the last 4 months and done that. And it would have been fine. Or come out and just do what he did. I think the equity in the last 16 years of his career. Why do I keep saying 16? I'm thinking about titles. The last 20 plus years of his career, built in that equity that at any point he could go, "No, you're right. What I've done was wrong. And I should be doing this for you guys because it's what I've done for 20 years. So to get that out of the way, I think the babyface turn is totally fine, and there's plenty to explain it away now too if you want. I think he leaned on some of the Unreal stuff, but I don't even think you need that. I really don't. I think character-wise, you look at John for 20 years and you go, no, this makes more sense. That he just was ready to go to be the guy he's always been again. He took a detour, but this is where we were always going to end up. So I think we're totally cool with that. Or I'm totally cool with that at least. I will say, going into the match, I did not particularly expect both of them to come out babyface. When Cody came out to the Dusty promo clip and came out full garb, the helmet and all, I was intrigued. And then he never bit. I really did expect this to sort of start the road for the heel turn. And every time I think we say that, Cody just doubles down harder on being a babyface. And I wonder if at some point that's going to be what turns him heel. We finally hit the Roman Reigns point of, God, I'm tired of seeing you as a good guy. Even though Roman was not a great good guy when this was happening, but or maybe John Cena is actually the better parallel. Maybe we're tired of seeing Super Cody, the double down, and they lean into the heel turn more. But it seems like every time right now in the last few years we've been like, maybe we're looking at Cody heel. Nope. We peel back another layer and it's just more white meat babyface. So was surprised by that. And then I think the big point there at the end. Cena takes the loss. He's really willing to sort of pass that torch to Cody. They're both hugging. We get sort of that moment of them together. Cody gives him the salute right before the end of the match in sort of a Shawn Michaels Ric Flair moment. I'm sorry, I love you, but this is what's got to happen. And Cody wins clean, stays babyface. We get that pass the torch moment. Cody's leaving. Then Brock comes back. Now, I don't love it. I can see Brock being back for the last bit of John Cena's run and giving John Cena maybe a victory over Brock Lesnar, I think would be good. In a way to sort of cap off his career against somebody that's really just, in plain words, beat the dog shit out of him. Brock has beaten John Cena senseless many times, and I think this would be a cool way to it would be a cool way to sort of put the cap on his career. I don't think it's his last match, but I think it could either be a good Clash at Paris or even a Survivor Series. If John's not in a War Games match, I think it would be a good way to sort of get that last month or so of his career going. That being said, I don't want to see Brock really after that. If we're heading for a Brock retirement match in Minnesota next year, fine. I don't want to see him. Honestly, I was fine never seeing him again. And not just because, the whole lawsuit, the Janelle Grant situation. I was fine not seeing Brock anymore because there's nothing else I wanted to see of Brock. He's done all I want him to see. All I want to see from him. But I was okay with not seeing Brock again after 2 years ago. Because there's nothing else I want to see of Brock. I think character and story-wise, there's nothing there for me that I want to see beyond maybe this John Cena match to cap off John's career. And sure, give him his retirement match, but I don't want to see him every week, and I don't want to see him with a title. That's, I think, where you really lose me is if he captures a title. Because I think I'm still drained from years of Brock or even Roman having the title and disappearing for just too long at a time. I'm over it. I want to see champions more often than not. So, yeah, other than that, there's really just nothing I want to see from Brock either. There's nobody I want to see him face. Maybe a Braun Breaker, but I think, honestly, a Braun Breaker's too early. I'd rather see Braun versus Roman or I think a Braun Breaker versus Cody even. I don't necessarily want to see Braun Breaker versus Brock. I think if Braun Breaker was maybe 5 to 10 years farther along in his career, maybe that'd be something I'd be interested in. But that's not where we're at right now. But I am interested to see where we go with Cody, because I don't think Cody's going to be involved in that Cena Brock idea. So I think everybody's still clamoring for Randy versus Cody, where Randy's heel, but he's coming off this Jelly Roll thing. I don't know that we're going to get that. Maybe Drew. Not likely, but I'm just kind of spitballing names here. I don't know. I'm interested to see where we go from here now that Cody's got the title back. Because I think myself and a lot of people were thinking that John would have this a little longer. And if he didn't, then Cody would come out of this looking much different. So now thinking for a Cody heel matchup is a little harder for me right now. But let's move on to Gunther versus Punk and subsequently Seth and his ilk. First off, Gunther versus Punk, a classic. Fabulous match. Two of the greatest in the world doing their thing, and it really did look like for a second that Gunther was just going to do Gunther things and choke out your favorite wrestler. And that was just going to be it. That was going to be it. There was no fanfare to it. Punk loses. Gunther walks out with the title. That's just what it is. But we get that spot where Gunther's nose gets bloodied. I believe it was his nose. And I wonder how much of that was planned. If it was actually supposed to be his nose, or if he was supposed to blade, or if it was just a happy accident. Maybe I missed where that blood came from, but I believe it was from his nose. And it was a gusher. So I'm not sure that nose isn't broken. I know he's supposed to go away for some, I believe, some medical procedures anyway. So I wonder if that nose was already pretty broken and it just happened to gush there and they rolled with it. But Punk does come out on top. Gunther sort of loses his faculties after he's bloodied, whether that's from just seeing his own blood or getting rocked. I'm not sure, but it does end in Punk getting the victory for all of 5 minutes before Seth comes to rain on the parade. The damn knee was a lie. Seth has had the heist of the century and now the ruse of the century. The son of a bitch gaslit us all. And here we are. Seth comes out, still in his crutches, or on his crutches with his knee brace, yelling at Punk that, just wait, it's coming. Michael Cole makes the point that Seth has till next June to cash this in. We're all bit in thinking that it's coming. We know it's coming at some point, but tonight is Punk's night. Sure, Seth's going to get the last laugh just to have it, but Punk's walking out of there tonight with that title. And the son of a bitch throws the crutches down, takes the knee brace off, and hauls ass to the ring with that briefcase, lays into Punk, cashes in that Money in the Bank contract, and leaves with the title. And I damn near cried. It's insane. The lengths they went to work everybody on this one. Becky posted the pictures of Seth walking with their daughter in crutches, going on the Rich Eisen show, saying he's hurt. I was a little suspicious with the MRI thing when he said that early on. He said that there was too much swelling, so they couldn't tell. They tried the next week, and then there was no follow up on that. I was a little suspicious. I thought maybe he was tweaked. He tweaked it, but he really wasn't hurt as bad as they thought he might have been. But it was a ruse all along. And I really just it was brilliant, but damn it. So that brings us to Raw, where start the night, they're coming out. Seth bragging about his brilliance, his plan. And in some of this, I do want to point out that Braun Breaker didn't exactly look thrilled for most of that. Seemed a little aloof at best. So I wonder if what they're saying is true and that even the Brons didn't know. Seth said only a couple people knew. And I wonder if Braun Breaker's not going to take offense to that. And that's not going to come back to haunt Seth at some point in the near or distant future. But another wrinkle in Seth's plan comes out. LA Knight. And he claims that he has a shot at or should have a shot at that title because he's the last one to beat Seth. And, he has a point. As a part of Seth's plan, he let LA Knight beat him during that injury fake. So LA Knight has a pretty legitimate claim, and Adam Pearce is there to oblige. And so we get Seth versus LA Knight later in the night. And of course that ends in Punk coming out to interfere and get some revenge on Seth right as LA Knight was about to get stomped onto the bare concrete. And LA Knight is reasonably upset with Punk, thinking that he just cost him. Now, I would argue that he saved him. So maybe we need to chill out a little bit, LA Knight. But I get it. In the moment, he's cost you the match. I'm surprised that we didn't hear from Punk yet, by the way. I think I'm very intrigued to see what he says next week. I think we'll get a promo from him finally. But things unfold. Brons come out take out Punk and LA Knight. We still haven't seen Roman Reigns at this point. Um, as sort of things are winding down, we've even got the credits rolling. Paul Levesque's name's on the screen, and finally Roman's music hits. Paul looks like he's seen a ghost. Runs off. Roman comes out, starts picking his way through everybody. The numbers game does eventually get to him too, though. He gets stomped for his troubles and then gets a couple tsunamis. And I wonder if we're not having Roman being written off here. I think we are in the time frame roughly where he was supposed to go and film for Street Fighter, that new Street Fighter movie. So I think that might be what we're doing here, is getting him off the screen, so he can go do that and come back in a couple weeks. It does lead me to wonder, though, what's next for this sort of trio here. Are we gonna get? Are we starting to build for a War Games? Are we gonna do Seth's faction versus Roman Punk and such? Do we have Roman and Punk be stuck in a War Games match together again? Or are we just getting some sort of triple threat, maybe at Clash in Paris with Roman going to be out? Do we get Punk, LA Knight versus Seth, and a triple threat for that title? Maybe. Do we get a sort of six-man situation going on with Seth and his boys versus the three baby faces, as they're all mad at each other? Maybe. Maybe not. I'm not certain which way I'm leaning on that. That's a lie. Actually, I think we're getting a triple threat first. I do think this very well could end. I think we get the triple threat, and then we could end up with a War Games match out of this. Although I'm not sure if we're getting a War Games match for this or Solo in the MFTs. I think I would rather see Seth's group than Solo and the MFTs. I feel like that is too close to the bloodline that we've had a couple times already. I'd like to see a little different variation on it, although it's still half the people that were in the damn War Games before. But I think mixing those up a little bit would be worth it. And then, sort of final notes here from Raw that I didn't get to cover. I think the big one here, we've got 3 Grande Americanos now. Well, I guess we had 3. We had 3 with Chad Gable. But now we have seemingly 4 of Grande Americanos. What are we doing? What is Chad Gable going to come back and see 5, 6? Is it just everybody is El Grande Americano now whenever it suits you? I do wonder if that last one wasn't Tyler Bate. Because I do believe one of them was Pete Dunne still. That we had Ludwig Kaiser, we got Pete Dunne, and then maybe the last one is Tyler Bate. But I didn't get a good look. So, you know what? Make 10 of them. I don't care. It's fun. And I think final note from Monday. Looks like Becky Lynch is going on to face Nikki Bella for that title, that IC title. I really liked Becky's promo. I like that we're leaning into, the sort of Becky Hogan type thing. I got your scenes cut from Happy Gilmore. I've got that pull. Just great. And I think it's a great evolution of the man, sort of heel character. Also love her new entrance music. I wasn't sure about it when I heard it on Saturday at SummerSlam, but hearing it again on Raw and getting a little better feel for it, I do really like it. But yeah, I think that is all I have for this week. I will be back next week to catch up on the aftermath from SmackDown and Raw. and see kind of the next steps for Seth and Cody. Really excited to see what happens with Cody this Friday. Um, and maybe we hear from John Cena too. I think he's booked on many of the SmackDowns between here and Paris. So um, interested to see what he has to say about Brock Lesnar coming back. And we'll see how it goes. But until then, have a good one. Love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. If there's any opinions you want to share. Otherwise, I will see you next week. This has been DCW.